Hi there, Jesse here with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the TorkLift camper tie downs on our 2001 Ford F-350. These tie downs are going to help keep your in-bed camper safe and secure. These are just the framework for tying down your camper, really, because once you get these installed, you'll have a turnbuckle connecting to your camper, and that's going to keep it safe and secure. With this kit, it includes both the front and rear tie downs for both sides. And that's really nice because that's going to evenly distribute the weight of your camper. It's also going to cut down on how top heavy it is. So that's going to help if you're cruising on the highway and maybe you're passing a tractor trailer or there's just heavy gusts of winds. That's really going to help you and make the drive a lot more safe. Once again, these are just the framework for tying down. You will need to purchase turnbuckles separately. We have many options here at eTrailer. Another thing I'd recommend is getting some sort of suspension enhancement, like airbags or maybe some timber and bump stops, something like that. And that's just because in-bed campers are quite heavy. Your truck wasn't really made for that weight, but suspension enhancements can improve your ride quality by a lot. As for the install, the rears simply slide into the hitch. That's super easy. The fronts are a little bit more involved, but they're pretty simple. They're going to bolt around your frame, so there's no drilling required or anything like that. If it's something that you just don't have the time, the space, or the tools to do, then feel free to check out our dealer locator. However, if you are looking to get these installed yourself, then just follow along and I'll show you how we set up ours. Also, if you've got these installed yourself, maybe you just have some tips or tricks, or you want to show us your in-bed camper setup, then feel free to share those with us. We'll begin our install over here on the driver's side. Things are a little tight because we have this fuel tank here, so we'll be using a fish wire. We'll just feed it through this oval hole, and it's going to come back. You'll see a little groove in the fuel tank here. That's going to be our easiest spot to get our hardware up, but I'll start by feeding this fish wire through. Try to feel it and pull it down. I'll put a bend on it just to make sure it doesn't come all the way down. Now with this end, what we'll do is we'll take a star washer and one of these spacer blocks and our bolt. Thread that on here. Then we'll try to pull it through. And once you get that pulled through, we'll just leave the fish wire on for now. We can move up to our top bracket. And notice this has a little lip that's going to hook into the top of the frame. And you'll have your longer bolt on the top one. It's just going to slide into that hole there. This will be placed up here and just hook around the frame, and it should hold itself up there. But for the bottom one, we'll use a slightly shorter bolt, and you're just going to use this groove in the fuel tank and rotate it and put it just like that. Now we'll take our bracket and feed our fish wire through this bottom left hole here. Just work that fish wire through. The tricky part is we need to get around our parking brake cable, and that parking brake cable is going to end up in these slots here. So you will have to kind of pull it a bit. But don't worry, you're not going to be damaging it. So we need to get this parking brake cable into this slot. That way we can rotate around that bolt there. Get that slotted, then we can move this forward. Don't forget to hold on to your fish wire. So for our two frame bolts, we'll take two flat washers, a lock washer, and a nut. Those on the top and the bottom. Now we can pull our fish wire off. And for this one, we'll have one of these rectangular blocks, then a flat washer, a lock washer with a split in it, and a nut. You just want to make sure you're putting pressure on it so that it doesn't fall into the frame. Now we'll get these tightened down with a 3/4 inch socket. Now we'll torque all of our hardware down. If you don't have your own torque wrench, we do have some available here at etrailer, or you could always rent one from your local auto parts store. But all of our torque specs are listed on our instructions. Now we'll just take this piece and it simply slides in. And these are adjustable. They'll have 2 sets of holes that you could use, but just slide it in, line it up at the hole with your pin, and clip it. On the passenger side, it's essentially the same process. It's just you have a lot more room here, seeing as there's no fuel tank. The only big difference is the front bolt actually just goes through your hole in your cab mount bracket. So it's much easier. The hardware is all essentially the same. You just have an extra spacer block and star washer on the back here. So for our rear tie downs, these are pretty simple. You're going to insert this oddly shaped end into the side of your hitch. Just make sure the stud is facing out and your angle is going to be pointed down. So slide that in. Once you have that slid in, you'll take your bracket here and you'll have to get this slid in so you can hook the bracket around that part of your hitch. So these go in pretty far. And get that bracket on there. Take the included lock washer and the nut. We get that started and we can tighten that down with a 3/4 inch wrench. They do paint over this, so it may be kind of hard to get your wrench over it at first, but we're going to tighten that until that lock washer is flat. Now we can put our insert in the same way as we did on the fronts. Slide your pin in, clip it down, and that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the TorkLift camper tie downs on our 2001 Ford F-350.